them speaking, or it can be a one live. So I think it's live on Facebook now.
Now his meeting is now streaming live on Facebook already.
Oh, now live already.
Yeah, one live.
Already live.
But how to go live on Facebook? It can be a one live. So I think it's live on Facebook.
MIPFM.
He's now streaming live on Facebook already.
Oh, now live. Already live.
But how to go live on Facebook?
To avoid disruption, please turn off your volume.
Mute.
Unmute your Facebook. Okay, moderator.
We have 7 chats down there.
Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, very good.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we can start already, huh? Okay, you can hear me, huh, guys?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Assalamualaikum, very good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me clearly?
Oh, yes.
Okay, very good. Are we on FB Live now? Secretariat, are we on FB Live now?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. Very good afternoon. Assalamualaikum again. Welcome to the MIPFM live Facebook forum for today. We are indeed very fortunate and privileged to have a number of prominent property management practitioners in the house. If you may allow me to introduce myself, my name is Surveyor Azman Shah bin Muhammad Arifin. I'll be the moderator for today. The prominent people we have on the panel today is firstly Surveyor Haji Ishaq bin Ismail, the principal and founder of IM Global, Sdn Bhd, major player in property management and facilities management in Malaysia. Basically, I would say they have a few hundred of staff, and they have been impacted by the MCO also, being a very active player. Next, I have also Zoe Nageswaran, who is actually Associate Director of Knight Frank, Malaysia. Very young. He's the youngest in the group today. He's not even 40 years old yet. And he has had quite a number of years in property management. He has been, facing a lot of challenges as well during this MCO period, and very active in communicating during this period. Next, we have Surveyor Haji Zaharin, a very important player in the market. Surveyor Zaharin used to be the founder of Knight Frank Zaharin and Oi, Sdn Bhd, in the past, and now he actually runs his own firm. Basically he has also some challenges to share with us today, and vast experience in his this line of area to share with us. And last but not least, Surveyor Siu Yi Hong, principal of HSR, Property Management Services, Sdn Bhd. He is also active member as chairman of MCs and JMCs during his property management involvement. So in fact, he will have a bit more to share with us since he also comes from the background of accounting. So there will be a lot of things that can be shared this afternoon. And of course, at the end, later on, we will have also the Q&A session, and listeners are invited to post questions, and we will invite the panel to actually share their views in terms of the question that you pose. Okay, without further ado, I'd like to start with the first statement this afternoon. Gentlemen, thank you ever so much for being in this panel today to share your thoughts. I would like to pose the first question today, which is to do with the experience. How has it been with you and your company during this MCO period since the start? And how has it impacted you and your team? Can we start with Tuan Haji Ishak?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon. Thank you, moderator and the president of MIPFM, and thank you to all speakers and listeners, my fellow friends and practitioners. Well, I hope you are in a healthy mood during this MCO period. Life has to continue, business has to run as usual, and definitely every business are now facing great challenges, especially during this MCO. As you know, the property management falls as one of the essential services, and we basically upon receiving this the news that the pandemic COVID-19 in December, we have started to call for meeting, and we have focused on business continuity plan. And I believe that every company has their own, and we have discussed about how this COVID-19 will impact our business. So we have carried out some business impact analysis to assess the potential impact that could harm our business. And we have also come up with the recovery strategy, how to identify and documents all our resources. We have also plan ahead how to develop the framework for the continuity plan. And last but not least, we also had discussed even in December and January on testing and exercise, and how to create a test plan, and what will be the subsequent exercise. So there are three main things in the business continuity plan that we have adopted since January 2020, after the COVID-19 started to come in our country. First, we have focused on how to centralize persons, the contact number, establish the hotline center, a calling center. We have also centralized the working email address. We have formed a remote office. We have also established the disaster recovery center, Putrajaya. We have also set up a site schedule daily, weekly, and monthly report is required. So we have established the framework in January. So Alhamdulillah, when the MCO started 18th of March, we are basically ready to face this. So a little bit of our experience, I think, during this MCO period, definitely, there are some difficulties faced in discharging our duties, especially on the scope of work, which impact our financial capability and also our team spirit.
Okay, thank you, Tuaji. Thank you for sharing. Perhaps we can move on to Sri Nageswaran. Perhaps you'd like to share what Knight Frank had to go through. You might want to undo your mute.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Safi Asman. Good afternoon to everybody. We at Knight Frank, we did anticipate on this lockdown that's going to come in place probably a couple of days earlier. Everyone has been talking about it. Okay, so as far as property management unit is concerned, we were actually prepared much earlier in terms that we have our systems in place related to PropTech or FinTech, you see. So we have been using cloud servers for our email system, our documentation, and as for the financial system, everything has been also on cloud. So when this announcement were made, preparation was quite easy because we did not have to focus a lot on how to, save our work because everything has been on cloud. So we quickly could work on staff mobilization at site, especially because during the first phase, especially on the first week, when the MCO came in place on 18th of March, there were there's no much clear guidelines, like what we have at this stage. So, even staff deployment on rotational basis were already in place. And that did help a lot of our preparation work became much easier. We were prepared. And then the team understood that, it's time, for us to work with fewer manpower at the site, and also the importance that they were given, the task that they were given to be at site while others, working at home. So, this is something that I would say that, it was also a teamwork that we had. So we were prepared. And then, of course, with all the technology that we have always been talking about, probably, for the last 2-3 years, what PropTech, Infotech, all these came very handy at this point of time. So business seems to us like going as usual, but of course, a lot of things were done over video conferencing, over webinars, and but nutshell, things at site were still going on as usual, but just that with fewer manpower. Yeah.
Thank you, Surveyor Nageswaran. That was very good sharing. Can we move on to Surveyor Haji Zarin?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator, Surveyor Haji Azman, and panel speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I would like to share my experience during this MCO period, and property management services are operating at the moment, and that also is not a full team managing on site because we follow the KPKT and COP's guideline. We only have about 2 staff to work on site, and and our staff also, we have them to do a duty roster so that they can rotate every alternate day, so that only 2 of them will be on site. And we prepare the duty roster for them also. So as for the staff working, we working at home especially, we communicate via WhatsApp, via email, and then via team viewer also. So the staff on site, of course, you have to perform the essential services like water, electricity, security, cleanliness, maintenance, and so forth. For your info, a lot of our property portfolio are under officers, officers, strata officers and non-strata officers, and also we have a shopping mall, strata mall to manage also. And for our communication with clients, we have our WhatsApp group, and we have communicating to them through emails. And we also have our own software, which we call the software, the Intelligent Property Management System. And for residents and tenants, we communicate through emails and then through our software. And meeting with clients, normally we meet them through either Zoom or Skype. So So at the moment, now already under MCO 3, the status quo is still the same as the previous 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Surveyor Zahrin. And we move on to Surveyor Siu Hung. Can we have some few words from you, Surveyor Siu?
Thank you, Surveyor Azman. It's like this. You see, one of the key success that we achieve is collection. In fact, most of our sites, our collection is very good. In fact, our staff spend a lot of time during this period to actually call up the defaulters and talk to the owners of the importance of cash flow, to at least ensure that the essential services are on. Our collection is just dropped by about 10-20%. It is very good. And again, I have a very good set of staff who are always willing and happily working at the site. So we have no problems getting our staff at site. So this is also one of the key factors that. And also at the same time, I have 2 sites that got into COVID-19, 2 sites. We had to do the disinfection, and it took about almost 8 hours to get it disinfected. And one of the key success that we also have is we communicate very clearly to our owners, saying that, this has been done and that. So one of the key things is how we communicate clearly with our owners. And at the end of it, some sites, the moment an ambulance arrives, they will see a lot of WhatsApp coming up and say, oh, what is happening? So communication is a key things that we do. So generally, our group is performing quite well as far as collection is concerned, which is one of the main concerns of all our PM.
Okay, thank you, Surveyor Siu, for the sharing. And I'm sure it was quite an experience to do in disinfection, not only in one site, but 2 sites. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after the first round of questions, we already have, first round of sharing just now, we already have some questions already flowing in. I would like to just keep all these questions right to the end, if you don't mind. And we just go through with some of the earlier concerns that have been expressed to us by our members. And of course, the most important part is, our topic today is to do with stabilizing operations and recovery. We, at the moment, are not sure when the MCO will be lifted. Apparently, there are stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. So for the time being, of course, some parties are still stabilizing their operations, and some parties now have got the hang of it and now looking towards recovery, recovery. So my next question to our esteemed panel of panelists today is actually, what do you foresee happening after the MCO is lifted? What do you think will happen on the first day of the MCO being lifted? Can we start with Surveyor Nageshwaran to share his thoughts on this?
Thank you, Surveyor Azman. Okay, we are quite uncertain, when the MCO will be lifted. Okay, but it seems like it may happen anytime soon or anytime later. But again, I think we have to adapt to the new normal. That's what I think it's quite being widely said all around us worldwide. As the pandemic of COVID may not just end as soon as the MCO is being lifted, but it could be could be lasting for unknown period of time until a vaccine is being found or probably it's being commercialized and things become more manageable. So the post MCO period is very important, and what we could do after that or after MCO is as important as what we are doing now. Okay, so I think social distancing must continue, as how it is being practiced now. Okay, site rotations, site rotation, those who are working at the site offices. Okay, in fact, we at Knight Frank, we have already prepared for this. We have already prepared even to the extent that we have alternate site office within the same premise, two different team working on these two different premises. So this is part of the mitigation of post MCO period. Okay, because like I said, the risk is still there. It doesn't mean that new cases are not surfacing. That is the end. The virus is still around. So having alternate site office within the same premise, having two teams to mitigate risk. If at all one team is being affected, the other team still can operate as what is required to. Okay, and social distancing, as in access inside the lift. I think this must be added to. Okay, it should continue. Okay, because it's very important that some lifts, if it's smaller lift, you cannot be occupying it to the maximum people load. Okay, so you have to still follow the 1 meter gap between one passenger with another passenger. This is also important. We should not open the function halls or the community hall for any type of gathering, even though it's for 5 or 10. I think GMBs or MCs must take note of this. We should not open community halls for any sorts of events. Okay, as use of other facilities, I would personally say that we should not open so soon. At least perhaps KPKT could announce this, if that can be used or not. So until then, I would suggest for us not to use this service. I mean, these facilities for the time being, right? So the keyword here is social distancing must be put in place, and we must continue to do that until we are totally free from the pandemic.
Thank you, Surya and Nageshwaran. Can we get Survey Asia to give some thoughts on this?
Oh, well, so how do we foresee after the MCO is lifted? So to me, I think in the property management, we believe they are not so much different in operation. In the last 6 weeks, in general, I think the site operations still run as usual. Procedure in cleaning has been improvised accordingly to the latest standard procedure of bacteria infection and certain areas to focus on. Since common area facilities are closed, we prepare a new cleaning schedule and we reorganize the staff allocation. Same goes to the security and safety. So we have established a mitigation plan for site that we have managed, because we are also involved in managing terminal bus terminal, and also the wet market. So we have to analyze the possibility of perhaps there will be an increase in crime after the MCO, and we had accordingly came out and execute the possible precautious action. Reports, invoice, billing claims, etc. Had all been issued through soft copies now. Financial report is prepared and submitted as usual. All queries were replied accordingly. But upon the MCO lifted, in my opinion, for the residential side, so disinfection cleaning procedure must continue, especially in the lift car and the lift lobby area, especially when the numbers of residents will start using this area. The common area facility is best to keep close to the public and wait until further advice and guidance from the MOH and also from the KPKT. Full numbers of manpower can start work as usual, but management office is to conduct social distancing. I agree with Mr. Nagesh. The social distancing procedures between themselves and residents has to be strictly adhered. Management team have to execute service charges or debt collection procedures, which we foresee there will be challenges there to recover as maximum as possible loss in collection during the MCO. But for office building, apart from a disinfection cleaning procedure, in the lift car lobby area, food court, or even surau and toilets, where the number of tenants will start to use this. Full numbers of manpower can start work as usual, but we have to strictly look into the security services that we need to ensure it will continually intact with better SOP and with the same manpower. But of course, report, invoice, and all that has to be issued physically also. That is what the hard copy required by the clients. But all filing is to be ensure that we keep and make sure that everything is safe in the cloud. But for the repair works, that definitely, there are a lot of pending work postponed due to the MCO. So we must reschedule and execute according to the priority, as financially we are still recovering. All right. So as for the approved plan capex, the capital expenditure, the management are to reevaluate the necessity, and we must go back and refer to the clients before we proceed with any tender procedures and so on.
Thank you very much, Tuan Haji Shah. Can we move on to Surveyor Tuan Haji Zarin?
Thanks, Azman. Okay, even after the MCO is lifted, we still have to do social distancing, and then don't forget the thermal scanning also we have to do. And disinfectant of workplace also important, not only the common area of the office, but the tenanted area within themselves, so they have to do disinfectant, the tenants or whatever it is. And of course, even after the MCO lifted, the meeting should be in small group. Cannot have big meeting like we previously have to. And as for the last 6 weeks, I foresee that there's nothing changed. But for the company to get in full operation, when there is only a zero infection or there's a vaccine for COVID-19, only we can go back in full operation. While it's still under MCO, we still have to do all those social distancing, thermal scanning, whatever. So it's important in order so that the COVID-19 won't come back again to us, for the second round, the second wave.
Okay, thank you, Tuan Haji Zarin. Surveyor Siu, what do you think will transpire after the uplifting?
I think after that, social distancing must be followed through. And in fact, we are also thinking of how to use a system to control the usage of this common facility, like the gym. If it's supposedly to be open, we do not allow that many people to go in. So there will be certain access control that we are considering, into this common facility area. So the other one that I think after the MCO is over, the first main thing is we have to improve on again collection. Without the funding and cash flow, then how are we going to maintain the building? The otherwise, like all those capital expenditure, if it is not urgent, we will have to put it aside first. And of course, we are discussing with our clients to see whether that is essential at this time or can it be delayed a little bit, right, until our finances are in order. All right, the key thing here is communicate clearly with the owners to talk about all our fundings and all that. I'm more concerned with funding. Without funding, we just cannot move. And of course, there are already some areas which we may not have what I call maintained, and we make sure these are up now. because we only focusing mainly at the moment essential services. So there are areas like maybe the genset, all right? Some of the other areas which are key to running the building maintenance. So these are things we have to make sure all these all these facilities, all those equipment that support the maintenance of building must be up and running immediately. I think that's what I foresee. But social distancing must be there. Even when people come in for management, I have one site where the payments, they do not like to do online, and they like to pay by cash, 80%, which is very high. So this also is a bit of concern. So we have to educate this group of people to use online payment to help us with our cash flow. Thank you.
Thank you, Surveyor Siu. I think basically we've received quite a number of questions so far. We still have to cover 4 areas. Each panel will need to help us to actually see what kind of ideas we can give to our listeners today. Looks like we have 365 listeners at the moment. That's quite big. And we have quite a few questions posed. So maybe before I go into the specific areas, I will pick on a few simple questions, general questions that we should be able to address at this point in time. So why don't we look at the Zoom group chat on your right-hand side of your screen, and we look at question 1. We look at question 1, and I would like to just invite maybe Tuan Haji Ishak to help us answer the first question, which is, what are the criteria to get approval from MITI?
Oh, well, okay, we have applied to MITI, but apparently our application was rejected. But some of our members' company has got it approved, by the MITI. But definitely we were going to appeal. But I was told that in order for us to get it approved, so we need to clarify or justify our business operation activities. So we have to put the name of property surveyor, because when they give the approval to the industries, of course we have to fall under the construction industry, and under the construction industry there are service industry. So even though the list of property surveyor is not included clearly, but during your submission to the MITI, you need to elaborate and to explain in detail the nature of your activities. So you put a property surveyors which include the list of the services you are providing, to also include the property management, facility management of that sort. So don't forget to include the facility management as well. And the property management, you please elaborate the nature of your scope of work, or else if you just mention you are doing a property management full stop, then you will get the reply from the MITI, your application is rejected. So this is what we got the first reply, and we are going to appeal. And based from my discussion with my colleagues, or friends, practitioners who have got their company approved, so they share the experience. You have to elaborate in details your scope of work.
Thank you, Tuan Haji. I'm sure your company will go through. It's just a matter of time, but time is not on our hands at the moment. It's not on our side, because I think as we go along, we really need to make sure that the buildings are operating well, and also there will be no disruption to the residents. Now, second question is about the how property managers who manage a stratified high-rise building will actually manage properties in the future. knowing that the virus can survive for hours or days in the surface touched by COVID-19 patients. But of course, you know, I'm sure this kind of situation is basically addressable, I would say. And what I like to do is to invite Surveyor Siu with the experience of handling two sites which needed disinfected. Surveyor Siu, can you share with us your experience?
Okay, something like this. We actually have one site where we have the COVID-19, and of course I have to talk during this period. We actually have we close one lift, you know, just to allow this infection that can take place, you know, and then we alternate our lifts, or to address this COVID-19 unit. So now actually he has also recovered and has left the building and is back at the kampong. But what I mean is here, the most important to us is the communication again. All right, communication to the people, because they will be very alarmed, you know, if we see, like I said, the ambulance coming into the building. You know, it could be some other sickness or whatever. So we have to quickly inform the people that it's not because due to COVID-19. In fact, during the infection by this person, the whole floor, the KKM came in. They all came in and they actually did a test on all the units there. So, well, luckily, it turns out to be all negative. So this is something that we are happy about. All right. So sanitization of the lifts, we do it at least 3 to 4 times a day. All right. We do it every day, and our floors are actually also disinfected daily. All right. Our cleaners, we have, like I said, from Haji Ishaq just now, says we need to have actually the cleaning schedule to ensure that the decision is what I call good enough to at least not allowing this coronavirus to survive. So this is, I think, the cleanliness. And our security are very strict that no what I call food delivery will be allowed to come in. And it's always at the counter. And again, social distancing is being practiced there.
Thank you.
Just
Yes.
to add on what Surveyor Siu has shared, this is also from our experience. Okay, so to answer the point, to this point that how on areas, high risk areas. Okay, so it means that your key touch point areas, frequent sanitization is recommended. Which it can be done by your cleaners. Okay, so what you need to do is to make sure that the cleaners, okay, because I mean, sanitizing product comes in so many shapes, so many types of chemicals. So I think what you need to be specific is that you must check with your cleaners, cleaning companies, what type of sanitizers they use. It must be at least 70% made of sodium hydrochloride. Okay, so I think knowing your chemical is very important. Secondly, of course, the frequent application on key touch areas like your lift panel buttons, and then your handrails. So these are the key areas that you have to identify and sanitize it frequently. Over and above, if you have the budget, okay, I think there are a number of companies providing specialized sanitization. Okay, specialized sanitization. And you need to know what kind of product is that. Okay, it comes as one-off product. Okay, one-off spray. Okay, probably that would be best used if there is any positive case in your building to have it sanitized once. There are also products that actually lasts you for specific days as per the per the manufacturer's specification. It can last you up to 30 days. It can last you up to 60 days. Of course, it comes with a price as well. So I think knowing your product is also very important. Knowing your budget is also important. And of course, on day-to-day basis, sanitization work by the cleaners is something that you also can do with a minimal cost. Okay, so make sure you know your product is very important. Okay.
Thank you very much, Sri Nagesh. So maybe we can go along to cover the 4 areas that we like to look into, which is maintenance, operations, financial, and of course, last but not least, the legal aspects. Now, if you were to look at the questions on the side panel, you'll see that some of the questions relate to the areas that we're going to cover after this. So perhaps we can actually start briefly with the panelists all sharing their thoughts, on the first item on the list today, which is maintenance. Can I invite now Surveyor Zaharin to actually share some thoughts on maintenance or the challenges and also opportunities?
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, on the maintenance, again, see my some points here. Okay, for maintenance, we'll do whatever maintenance that is essential for the building. And essential.
Maybe
And of course, the scope of works have to be reduced now. Especially for those service providers now. And I give just a simple example. For example, like cleaning. Instead of normal 10 workers, we have to reduce to 5 workers. Instead of working every day for 5 days, you have to reduce to 2 or 3 times a week. And of course, the building that we manage, some of the occupancy is only 30%, so it's not necessary to do a full-fledged cleaning. And because of this 30%, some of them occupied by essential companies like TNB, insurance companies, and whatnot. So we have to negotiate with the service providers regarding this scope of works, especially during this COVID-19. And as for the work required to be done during the MCO, both parties have to understand that because of this pandemic and movement also restricted, so we have to agree whatever the new scope of works that we need to agree upon between both parties because of this outbreak. And of course, on the technology part, we have the software to monitor and input whatever data in the system for this whatever services we provide. And for the management charges and sinking fund collection, it is slow during this MCO period because some of the tenants, what do you call that, the tenants and the owner of the building, owner of the lot, they still prefer to pay by check, but some of them they pay online. That will be no issue. So there's some tenants, they also ask for the any waiver or discount on the maintenance charges and sinking fund. If there is no, because sometimes collection is affected during the MCO. So if the collection is very slow, then we have to sort out for other funds like whatever funds that we have in the FD. This is only time to use the FD money. While waiting for more service charges coming in. And for the other one is on the legal aspect, isn't it? Of course, we're talking about our property management agreement with the client. And of course, the other one is the contract of service with the service contractor. There is a risk involved regarding the parties, each party's obligation. And they also will query later on the headcounts, especially during this MCO, and also the staff cost. And the other one is the reduced scope of works. So the only scope of works, as I mentioned earlier, is the essential services during the MCO period. And there will also be some additional works that we need to be done. As example, like if we are managing a high-rise building, you need to do sanitation of all common areas. And of course, you have to follow strictly whatever guideline spelled out by KPKT and MITI. You have to wear face mask, you have to do thermal scanner, you have to do distance, what you call that, social distancing. And these are the matters that we counter during this, the 4 main areas that we have to cover during this MCO period. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tuan Haji. Mr. Nageswaran, anything you like to add on to that? Mr. Nageswaran, can you hear me? Would you like to add on anything?
No, please go ahead. Surveyor Zaharin has given good, a detailed explanation on the maintenance part. Probably we can move to our next question, Tuan President.
Thank you very much. Since you're at the microphone now, maybe you can help us with some ideas on operations. How we foresee the operations after the lifting, and what we can actually look into doing differently, or maybe enhancing our services.
Okay, just like my reply earlier, okay, I would still emphasize on social distancing. Okay, this is because we have to take care of the welfare of our staff as well. Okay, like I said, doesn't mean that when the MCO is being lifted, okay, it means that we are free of pandemic. Okay, there's two different things: MCO and the pandemic. Okay, while MCO is being lifted to give us some flexibility to move around or to start back our routine. Okay, but that doesn't mean that pandemic's over. The pandemic will be still going on for some point of time. Okay, so social distancing is the mantra, I would say. Social distancing would be the mantra that we must implement, continue to implement. Okay, so enhancing our service, like I said, PropTech, Infotech, this is the platform that we must make use at its fullest. Okay, if you see, probably as other property managers are experiencing, you might be running on minimal workforce at the site. I think KPKT has allowed up to only two staff per management office, and the building runs. Okay, so this doesn't mean that we would not be able to pursue this matter for an extended period, because those who are working at home are also contributing in terms of managing the complaints over the email, communication, through e-portals, emails, WhatsApp. Okay, are actively. I think it's more active now rather than the usual days. You see, like even for Night Frank, we also have something called as community service. Every day we transmit, what is the latest COVID updates in our country, and community messages just like how to wear masks, how to spend time with your family. You see, this is something we need to do under crisis management. Okay, so technology is being a good assist to us at the moment because it does the work with the distance, and it serves the purpose. All right, so that itself has become an enhanced, as an enhanced matter, right? So post MCO period, we should continue with this. Okay, minimize staff using the technology platform to make sure delivery of work, is not affected. For those accounting functions, I'm very sure most of the systems are also on cloud-based. I don't think so you have a problem in delivering your accounts because collections are updated online. You can prepare your management accounts, wherever that you are, and you can actually email that to your committee members. You can do meetings over Zoom. So a lot of things. Actually, I would say that, the enhancement is already there. It's just that now we are using it to its maximum potential, right? So we should be least worried. For those companies who have not tapped much on technology, guys, this is the best time for you to do so because you will see the benefit. Okay, so your service is still there despite your team is not there at site physically.
Thank you, Mr. Nageswaran. Tuan Haji Survey Ishak, would you like to add on a bit?
Oh yes, I think both gentlemen has shared very good and important points. As for the maintenance, I'm sure that there will be a request from your clients to submit and prepare a new chart, the new org chart with lesser manpower, I believe. But of course, we have to explain to the client the impact and the consequences of having less manpower, to do more work. In fact, after the pandemic, after this MCO lifted, I believe there will be more work than usual, because we would need to have a team, not only to ensure the safety and the cleanliness of the area, but also the safety of our team as well. So I think we need to go back and discuss with your clients and emphasize that the manpower is very crucial. But as far as the operation is concerned, I agree with Surveyor Nagesh that technology, digitization is the way forward. Start recording all meetings, start to prepare and ensure that your information is keyed into your web-based system. Encourage all service providers to execute the same. And we are going towards the paperless working environment now. In terms of finance, I think there will be a tremendous reduction in collection amount during the MCO, and your team will have to work harder, okay, on the debt collection, initiative. Debt recovery procedures have to be executed, and you need to ensure that the frequent reminder are to be issued. Finance team must be inactive in email, a call, and so on. So don't miss any steps in procedures, because this is very crucial to avoid increase of defaulters. As you know that this important of service charges is in place. If you have less money, then you cannot spend in a good manner. But I'm sure in terms of legal aspect, you would face issues that, okay, they do not they pay the service charges, but they are not allowed to enjoy the facility or to use the facility. So this is something that you need to educate them and tell them. Risk analysis, must be done, and I think reduction penalties are to be referred to the existing legal rights and so on. But one thing that I think I need to share with you, there will be a new normal. Definitely, there will be a new normal. A new normal is a reality now. So we need to come up with the right business model now. We need to adjust a little bit in terms of working habits, in terms of how we do a marketing of our services. We need to improve communication skill. The moment of truth is very important. We need to realize that how we spend time, how we spend cash is very, very important. Take this opportunity, I think, to climb the learning curve. I think there are a few good books that we need to refer to. Now we have to accept the reality that change is coming, and we have to embrace the change. We have to understand that the old days has already passed, so we need to focus in the future on how to start our business, and at the same time educate our clients on the importance of social distancing, importance of being keep clean and stay healthy.
Thank you, Tuan Haji. In fact, we are moving on to our third and fourth items, which are actually the more sought after areas of concern in terms of questions. I think if you were to look at the group chat, you will see a lot more questions relating to finance and also legal aspects. So now I'd like to go into the finance side. And of course, the first person I like to just invite to speak is Xavier Siu. Maybe Xavier Siu, while sharing your ideas on this, you can also look at some of the questions on the side, which you feel that you might be able to answer. And then if there are any other questions, we can pass to the other speakers as well after that. Okay. So, Mr. Siu, go ahead.
Thank you. Now, actually, we were very proactive in terms of the collection because we know the most important of all the this property management is still the cash flow. So, in fact, our company even developed a Q&A to teach how our staff to do the collection. Because definitely at this point when you call them, you know, there will be a lot of resistance in, you know, saying that I can pay, they cannot pay, you know, they will try to defer. Then this is where our staff there at the site or even outside the site, when we contact these defaulters, all right, especially those about more than 3 months now, to talk to them how we can help each other in the cash flow position of the property management. But again, tech must be there. Don't say law. The moment you go into that, you get a lot of negativity coming back. So we have to be very tactful. Our people are taught to be very diplomatic, and it says that we need to help each other to pass through these difficult times and how we can work together. Of course, looking into your financial, you know, hopefully we see how we can help it. Of course, some of it say, okay, can I defer this month and next month? So we will work up some arrangement. And then of the day, we prepare ourselves to see whether there are even with these deferred or delayed payments, how far we can go. The first thing is will have to study each and every condos, how is their cash position, all right? And even at the same time, I'm also drawing up now to rework out all our budget again. Where are the areas we can minimize the cost? Maybe even a little bit from the cleaners, a little bit maybe from the other service providers. Example, like for example, with our site here, we have to have these people coming to collect rubbish, which we pay about 6,000 a month. So we are negotiating now that we are lesser people, and maybe, of course, there are lesser throwing of this business around. So we reduce by maybe 20-30%. All right. And again, we have to look at the usage of the power. I mean, the electricity. All right. So whole maintenance, we have to relook and work out a workable budget. And I'll also create now scenarios as to what is the best position and what is the worst case scenario. If we don't have this, how are we going to handle the payments? Are we maybe even to the extent working with the service provider? Can we delay a little bit? You know, so working out together with our service providers so that we can provide the necessary cash flow to run the building efficiently. This is one of the important part. Of course, there are a lot of questions now raised there. That can we reduce or give discount for the thing? I think now we have to look at the powers and responsibilities and duties of the what I call MCs or the GMBs. Well, if you look at it very detailed, I think there are a lot of argument. I mean, questioning about this. I think we can't, because unless we want to do, if we allow later on after all the cost-cutting measures, then we will look at the financial position. Of course, that may take a few months from now. Of course, that also requires an AGM or a general meeting to address that. So now is a time where we have to sit down to look into our budget. Where are the areas we can at least minimize some cost and see how we can look into our cash flow position and what are the actions we must take to address this cash flow. This is one of the very key areas. If not, then we are in trouble. And of course, now I can see a lot of these what I call the swimming pool. You know, now you can see even monkeys swimming in swimming pools. Now that's going to be some cost to clean up the pool, you know. So we have to be very careful. Like I said, there are some pools not being properly monitored, and the pumps got into trouble, and you have algae all green, you know, whole swimming pool. So these are one of the few things we have to look up and get it speed up, you know, and get it moving. That's all.
Thank you, SU. Anything to add? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Tom President, I would just like to add on few points what SU has mentioned. Okay, looking back at the questions, I think we have a number of questions asking us if service charge can be reduced, or if it can be waived or discounted, or LPI can be waived, discounted. You know, okay. So at this juncture, okay, the answer would be no. Not for any other reason, because the Act. Okay, if you look at the Act does not have any provisions for the JMB or MC to do so. Yeah. Okay. The Act does not have any specific provision. You must remember, JMB and MCs are created by the Act. Okay. So the do's and don'ts, you know, are actually refers back to the provision of the Act. So when it is not expressively provided under the Act, okay, so our advice is you cannot allow a reduction of service charge deliberately at this juncture, or waive it. Okay, of course, you know, determination of service charge can be done in a general meeting, but to answer the question that whether you can do it now, okay, to reduce the service charge or give discount or waive LPI, you cannot do so. All right, I think this is the legal point that you may share with your JMB or MC. Okay, that they are not allowed to do so, because if you do that deliberately within the powers of the JMC, it can be contested. Okay, so I hope this would clarify questions coming to that purpose. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Nageswaran. Okay, if we were to look at the rest of the questions, we can see already it's creeping into the legal aspects. Legal aspects of property management. So on this aspect, I'd like to invite Tuan Haji Zarin, Tuan Haji Surveyor Zarin, to share a few thoughts on this.
The legal aspect. Legal aspect, I think Nagesh and Surveyor Su have covered a lot already on the legal aspect. So I like to follow whatever they said earlier. You know, we have to whatever like.
Can you help to answer question 10 perhaps?
Question 10. Which one is it?
The question is,
does JMB management
yes, go ahead.
has any right to stop non-essential services to operate during MCO? This one, non-essential services. I think only the essential services have to be done during MCO. Non-essential one, you can't. Because it's already mentioned in the KPKT's guideline, even whatever, you know, we have to follow the guideline given by KPKT. If you do, then you can have penalty.
Okay, thank you, Tuan Haji. I think a lot of question actually goes around the financial aspect and also the legal aspect, which is affecting a lot of people. I would imagine that there's a lot more questions that you would like to look at. For instance, there's one question here about increasing penalty charge under SMA 2030 for residents who found repeated littering, for instance. Actually, littering, I can see that there's a lot of, I would say, instances where people, apparently when they stay at home, their habits pick up, you know, and basically they're also repeating, throwing whatever they were throwing probably outside the window of their cars, you know, into the common area. So I think, Tuan Haji Shah, anything to say about that?
I think moving forward, we should change the habit of our people to keep the environment clean and safe. I think those who have the bad habit of littering or throw rubbish, and so on. I think you can perhaps go back to the bylaws. I think the bylaws are already there. If you want to perhaps create additional bylaws, we have to go back to the EGM and get it approved. Okay, on the question number 14, I would like to also answer to that. If any of our residents affected by COVID, the KKM will notify us. So what will be the next step from KKM? Okay, if you have been informed or you knew that any of the residents affected by the COVID, so you need to notify KKM. You need to notify MOH immediately. So you need to inform also the COB. So we have one or two cases in previously. Oh, they can't see me. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we have one or two cases in our managing apartments where there is a a COVID-19 patient. So we notify the MOH. The MOH came with a full team, and they will take the the disinfection activities, not us. So what they do is that they will do the disinfection of the said premises and do at all common corridors or common facilities that might expose to this patient. So a part of that, we need to also inform the COB so that the COB can also inform the KPKT at the same time, because they need to update of what is happening at your area. So far we have managed to solve that problem. So to the residents who are affected has been treated and recovered from COVID-19. But of course, one or two cases, the KKM is not allowed us to publicly announce to all the residents, to avoid panic and so on. But if there is a numbers that, in the opinion of KKM, you need to issue a notice to all the residents, so you have to do that. But you need to get to consult the KKM and also the KPKT on that matter.
Thank you very much, Tuan Haji. We still have a few questions that we have to address. Can we look at question 7? Question 7 reads, my site is supposedly to have EGM on April 14 for urgent pipe replacement. Possible to go online for EGM? I guess this would be something new. Any of the panel members would like to answer this?
Okay, so maybe I would like to share something on this. Okay, I know this EGM might have been planned much earlier. A lot of work would have been done to bring up this matter for approval. But because we are in the midst of a pandemic and we are under an MCO, okay, a movement control order, which came under the implementation of the relevant act, okay. So the answer would be no, because if you look at KPKT's questionnaire FAQs that has been issued on 8th of April, Bilangan 5, I think this was the first question, okay, under question 15, if I'm not wrong. Okay, bolehkah AGM atau EGM diadakan? So the simple answer is that no. I would understand why KPKT would have answered. Would have came up with that answer no, because we must remember that one of the most possible way to prevent or to reduce the risk of COVID is to break the chain. Okay, any large gatherings, AGM or EGM can be considered as a large gathering at public space, So the answer is no. Unfortunately, probably you can reschedule it at a time where MCO is being lifted. bearing in mind that social distancing must be, something that you must emphasize lah. Okay.
Thank you, Surveyor Nagesh. Since you're on the line now, can you help to look at question 8 as well?
Okay, question 8, quite interesting. Okay, comment which facilities still need to close, but we paid maintenance. We understand this, okay, property managers, we understand, because some of us, we live in condominium, okay? We are paying the full fees, yet our facilities are closed. But again, this is not something that property managers or JMB or MC, we are initiating to do this on purpose. Okay. Again, I would like to bring, the attention, okay, that this has been specifically mentioned under KPKT's FAQ, okay, Bilangan 5, okay, dated 8th of April, which has been circulated to large, that closure of facilities is important. Again, the point of social distancing and the point of breaking the chain is very, very important. Okay, we understand that you are paying full fees and facilities are not being in use. But unfortunately, at this juncture, I think our role is more important as a citizen, okay, as a citizen of Malaysia, as a public, that we have to comply this, okay, we have to break the chain, right? So unfortunately, this is unavoidable. And of course, the service charge is being paid in full. Like I've mentioned earlier, okay, as and when the time permits for you to have an AGM or EGM, you can relook into, I think Surveyor Siu shared that, you can relook into all the savings that you have made. You can then, determine your service charge for the next period, whether to reduce it. So it's just that you're doing it at a later date, okay? So, so these are the ways that we have to look into handling this issue positively, all right?
Thank you very much, Surveyor Nageshwaran. I think we've covered most of the questions, and some of the questions were overlapping, so I trust that it has been answered. Now, we still have a few questions left, and I'd like to pose them to each one of you. And then the question is basically, what would be your advice? What would be your advice for all those players out there who need to stabilize their operations in order to prepare for the recovery upon resuming business after the uplifting of the MCO? Now, for this, can I invite Surveyor Siu to give, maybe a few ideas, maybe a couple of ideas?
Sorry. Where we have to look into again is I always look at the financials very importantly. So like I said, budget, looking in the areas where we can save cost, right? So that at least we can run with a reduced cash flow, right? To ensure that the essential ones, the what I call these safety and security areas are always been there, so that what I call the building can be properly managed. So again, to me, it's very importantly we have to look at our cash flow, nothing else. Without which we just cannot proceed. And of course, like I said, I just see some questions also raised that whether we have to reduce the head counts. I think it is, property management has all these years under a very tight budget run. So this is not an area where the property owners should look at, because you see on a what I call a site with about maybe 500 units, you only have 5 staff generally most of the time. So how much can you reduce? And then if you reduce the M&E, the M&E side will be affected to maintain the building to be in a good running order. You can also can't reduce the admin side. On the admin side, if you reduce one, there is also probably a new check and balance as far as on the financial. So we have all these years as a property management companies at sites are always already at the bare minimum, right? So unless in fact now actually also I'm also training my M&E also to be able to do the admin side work, so that we'll see we can look at all these cross working, to help in the proper management of the site. This is how I look at it.
Thank you, Surveyor Siu. Now, when we talk about reducing cost and looking at the aspect of headcount, is there any other way that we can look at maybe certain services are non-essential? Like for instance, question 15, right? The person is asking, does landscaping work and grass cutting included in the essential services, for instance? Should they be running during the MCO period, for instance? What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is not essential at this moment. At least we have no choice but to let some of the landscaping deferred. And this is one area in Chile I'm doing now. All right, this is the area where I already in a way discussing to reduce this cost. Yes, we are doing that now.
Any other points? Any other viewpoints from the member panels on stabilization of operations? Maybe Surveyor, anything you'd like to share?
Points to share. First and foremost, I think we need to execute the operation impact analysis immediately, to stabilize our operation. So this operation impact analysis must be done towards all services rendered at site, taking into considerations of the necessity, cost, and the consequences in terms of delivery and the quality of that services. So we need to quickly do that and inform and justify to our clients. The second points that I want to share is that you need to continue providing maximum services towards your clients. Perhaps you can even offer extra miles, extra mileage, extra mile services, which definitely will benefit both clients and yourself. For example, preparing a cost reduction proposal, is one of them. So you must perhaps tune that, submission to reduce cost reduction proposal bi-weekly, or perhaps by monthly, monitoring reports, on cost reduction and operating testing. So this is something that I think the new normal that we need to do to stabilize the operation of the services.
Thank you very much, Tuan Haji, Surveyor Shah. Okay, I have a couple of more questions before we wrap up. Can I check on the your expectation in terms of recovery period? How long do we think recovery will take before we are stabilized again fully into normal operations? Maybe Surveyor Zahari would like to share something with us on this.
Thank you, Surveyor Azman. Okay, I'd like to add on regarding the stabilization of the company operation. Okay, this is my opinion. For the company to operate, we need to have our reserve. So all the while we've been, standard practice where we put at least 3 months reserve But because of the COVID-19, 3 months reserve is not enough. So this pandemic, we don't know whether we can extend more than that, probably 6 months, because property management is staff intensive compared to valuation or agency. So because of this COVID-19 pandemic happening, so it's considered unexpected because every 100 years we are affected because of the pandemic. So the government, what we feel is government need to give a wage subsidy, not only for the B40 employees, but also those professional and technical staff earning more than 4,000 a month. So from what I have done my own analysis, this wage subsidy only covers up to 50% of the staff cost. So if we can ask for further subsidy, it will be good, because some other countries they're giving about 75 to 80% subsidy, which is higher than Malaysia. This is my point. Okay, coming to the recovery, it may take a few months, probably by end of the year, and then depend on how long the MCO period will be. The standard one normally is about 60 days, or can be more than that. So this is my opinion. If the MCO is lifted, hopefully after 18th of May. But after 18th of May, we still need about another 6 months for full recovery for PM. Then the other thing about what change business model, is it, Mr. Chairman? Okay.
Hold on. Maybe Surveyor
later.
Nageshwaran would like to add on a bit more on the recovery, if you don't mind. And after that, we'll move on to the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Surveyor Nagesh, would you like to share some thoughts there?
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Okay. Adding on to what Surveyor Zaharin has shared. Okay. Again, I would like to always emphasize on social distancing. Okay. This is very important because other than looking into your business model of your respective companies, okay, this is our time to embrace technology. Yes, I know. I think one of the questions was also posted to us that technology could be expensive. Okay, but you see, you need to know, you need to understand. You must understand your business more than anyone else. Okay. So if you think you cannot implement any technology that requires time for implementation, look into the cheapest mode of technology that's available. All right. If your systems are not in cloud, if it's in your server or probably it's in your laptop or desktop in your PC, you can use applications like TeamViewer, or probably you can use email. Okay, email is a very effective tool. Okay, it's a very effective tool that you can use for your communication purpose. All right. Receiving complaints, receiving feedbacks, replying it to them. You see, all this can be done from home. Okay, so these are the alternate technology ways that you can look into for those companies that are unable to equip yourself at this juncture. We understand that. So please use the maximum capacity of email applications like TeamViewer. You may have others in the market I may not know. Okay, to access remotely to your files, wherever that you have. Okay. So that you can continue operations. Okay, so this is something that you can do at your end to ensure that your operations sustain, right? Like I said, post-MCO period is as important as the MCO period, right? So please explore into this. I think MIPFM has circulated something on use of technology. You may get some ideas from there. Or probably we also will look into our end, what are the available technologies in the market for you to use in the interim period. Maybe we can come out this with another circulation also, right? So keep exploring. Tech is at your fingertips, so please maximize that at this juncture.
Thank you, Surveyor Nageshwaran. Now, last but not least, there's a big question here. Tuaji Ishak mentioned earlier, there will be a new norm. And there'll be a lot of changes. Everybody seems to be having the same idea. Now, my last question here is, will there be any change in business model in order to address the challenges we face after the uplifting of MCO? Maybe I can start off with Surveyor Siu on this. Surveyor Siu, would you like to give us a few thoughts on this?
Well, the business model, there will definitely be more productivity required. 1, 2, the more usage of technology to communicate, right? And this is where just now Nagesh also mentioned, but we have to, of course, again, technology may cost money, all right? Especially capital cost. So we have to be very careful of what technology you use. And again, over on top of the technology, I understand there are some systems in the market that actually what I call integrated well, right, to handle property management. Example, maybe people talking about reading car entry, the condos, control, the access controls, and other things. So we have also system to also monitor the lifts so that they can run efficiently out of by the service providers. I think Coney is doing that. So the most important to us here now is we have to leverage very heavily now on technology. Technology is something that we need to address to help in the property management. This is one of the key areas which we should, all property management companies should look at. And of course, like for example, on our building managers meeting, we also uses what I call this, like the Zoom to what we are doing today, or all those meetings instead of traveling. So that also an area where we also can talk about managing cost. So the key thing is property management does know where are the areas that we can minimize our cost, and of course, hopefully with the higher collection rate. This is the new norm that we have to use. Technology. Okay.
Thank you, SYSU. Tuaji Shah, would you like to share a few thoughts on this as well?
Oh yes, like what I have mentioned earlier, that the new normal is becoming a reality now. So we have got no choice but to continuously adjust ourselves and embrace the changes. I remember there's one book that I read some time back, titled "Who Moved My Cheese." Now, the cheese that we thought would be there forever have been taken away, and we have got to change. So, in my opinion, I think one of the changes that we need to face is to change the business model. I think the current business model, is basically too dependent on face-to-face meeting, very dependent on the hard copies, documentation, and so on. So we need to change that. I think technology, can help us. We need to digitize the whole operation, from starts to end. So we need to understand the whole supply chain of property management. When we talk about property management, so it started from very beginning of giving education to the people until we discharge our duties on the expiry of our contract. Perhaps previously our contract is year to year because of the requirement or provisions under the Act. But when you want to invest into the technology, and of course it was involve a lot of cost to do that, but you have got no choice, but you have to invest into that in order for you to survive in the industry. So I think I would like to advise all practitioners to start looking into how to put all the digitization in the process to help your clients. Perhaps the period of appointment can be extended to perhaps 3 to 4 years, and we have to perhaps inform the KPKT on the requirement to amend the laws if needed be. But for those who don't have the financial capacity to invest into the technology, so you need to perhaps work hand in hand with your colleague, to perhaps team up, if needed be. So that is one thing that I think we need to do. E-economy is something is very important. It's become a new normal again, and so we need to foresee in the future what is going to happen. Not only social distancing, but I think our economy will also tend to go on economic distancing and also society distancing. This is something that so we as a property manager, so we need to anticipate what would be the the phenomena in the future, so that we can plan our action now. So including the communication, reliance on technology, and also the working habits.
Thank you, Tuan Haji. Let's move on to Surveyor Zahrin, perhaps. Yeah, if you'd like to give us some ideas here.
Okay, as for the business model, definitely there will be a change in business model, and as you all know, as I mentioned earlier, also property management is a staff intensive business. Therefore, the use of technology is very useful to reduce the workforce. And even nowadays, so we are talking everywhere in the world, also talking about big data lah, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, using of drones, and even prop tech. So for this, what do you call that? To buy whatever technology that we have at the moment is very expensive. It's very expensive, and then you need to invest in this for the future. And then for those like in our company, we have devised our own intelligent property management system. So this is on our own. So based on whatever experience that we have, and we develop this system. So hopefully with this system also we can change our business model. And talking about the Internet of Things technology, because some of the FM companies, not only in Malaysia, in other parts of the world, they use this IoT technology where they use sensor, they do data analysis, and also they have AI. So this one, most of it used more on the aircon control, HVAC control. You do energy for the meter, you do light sensor, you air quality control sensor, temperature meter sensor, and if, on top of that, even occupancy sensor, so they can determine through this technology. So all we need to do is have a smart devices, and then these are the digital offering offered to us property managers, and all of them have the secure cloud-based infrastructure. So nowadays we have mobile phones, so we can make use of our mobile phones to use this technology. And what I feel is now is that the IoT appeal more to the millennials. So those coming up property managers, especially the young ones. So I'm sure definitely they appeal to them, this IoT. That's my opinion on this.
Okay, thank you, Tuan Haji. Thank you, Tuan Haji. And last but not least, Surveyor Nageshwaran, would you like to just give in a few words?
Yes, sure. Okay. Talking about technology, we have heard a lot of inputs from our other colleagues. Okay. Yes, technology. Okay, we have heard about disruptive technology. Now our economy is disrupted. Okay, so it's best to use our disruptive technologies. Okay, as some of you may concern of the costing, probably I can say that there are a number of locally developed technologies in terms of IoT and applications are locally developed, which are very much affordable because you don't own it, but you subscribe to it. Okay, so when you pay a subscription fee, the cost is relatively less. There are quite a number available in the market. Please explore that. Do not worry about the cost. Okay, like I said, there are a lot of subscription. Even Zoom is a subscription-based application. It's not that you need to own it. Okay, you just pay. I think something which is very affordable. Okay, you can use this to monitor what's happening at your site team. So there are a number of similar apps for the purpose of accounting, for the purpose of operations. Both are integrated. You see. So please explore into these property managers. Affordable things are in the market. It's locally developed as well. So I think you can make use of that. I think the essence here is that while we stay safe, while we practice social distancing to keep ourselves and the others safe, business should not be disrupted. Okay, yes, the new normal, but with the same principle, business should not be disrupted, but we use technology to make things which seems far to be near. All right. So please look into that. I'm sure you will find your solution somehow or other.
Thank you very much, Xavier Nageshwaran. So ladies and gentlemen out there and panelists, we have come to the end. But before that, I'd like to do a bit of wrap up on what we have covered this afternoon. Of course, we started off with looking at stabilizing operations, and at the same time also looking at what we should be doing during the recovery period after the uplifting of the MCO. Same time also, we managed to answer a few questions. Of course, not all questions can be answered at this point in time, but we did try to answer as much as possible. Now, what I'd like to do also is to do a wrap up, a conclusion on what has been shared today. Top of the list this afternoon is actually the question of application of technology. Technology comes up top of the list this afternoon, as expressed by all the panelists. And this is where I think we make a difference by applying technology, using Internet of Things, using data analysis, and also at the same time also applications which can help us to be a bit more efficient. And as I think was raised before, our industry has always been labor intensive. And of course, moving forward with technology, there'll be a lot of multitasking that can be resolved. So we'll have to look into this seriously. Second item, which is top of the list, is actually financial sustainability. So basically, it's not only for the companies, it's also for the clients. We need to look at how feasible it is for us to move on, to see how we can actually recover in a good way, without the risk of holding up or without the risk of going into financial problems. And also at the same time, looking at areas where we can help our clients also, for instance, collection strategy, cost optimization. I don't like to use the word reduction. It's quite artificial, but I like to say that we are into cost optimization, and also we are looking at multitasking. It was shared just now how some of the engineers and the technical people are also looking to administrative tasks, which is quite possible if you have usage of technology, for instance. And of course, after that, we have the challenges where we are so used to having what we call hard copies and also face-to-face engagements. And this is where it was mentioned that there could be also social distancing. On top of social distancing, there will be also economic distancing. And then, we will have to look at how this can happen and how it will help us moving forward in actually sustaining our business in this uncertain and uncharted territory beyond the MCO uplifting. And of course, we have also the issue of this business model, this dependability on what we have been doing all this while, all that we are so used to in the past. We need to move forward and see how we can actually avoid having the issue of financial difficulty in the future. I think there's a lot of concern at this point in time about having just about 6 weeks of MCO period, and some companies have already reported financial trouble. So I think this is one area which I would say that has to be looked into. And I think the panelists have also given their ideas how this could be done. And we hope that whatever has been shared this afternoon will be able to be shared between yourselves out there, and also with your partners, business partners, your clients, and also third-party partners who could be in this business working with you to make a living. And I think what is most important is for us to actually plan ahead, as the economy is going to be very challenging after the MCO uplifting, and each one of us must look towards how we can actually weather the conditions until things get better. Now, I need to apologize for the delay earlier on for us to come on the air. I forgot to apologize about it earlier. And also apologize if we have not been able to answer some of the questions that have been posed. But of course, we'll pick this one up later on. We still have our hotline. MIPFM has a hotline, an email where you can actually email to for all your queries. I think you can find it on the website. It's called hotline mipfm@gmail.com. And also you can always, forward your questions later on as well. So if you are able to look into what has been shared today, I think it will make a lot of difference for us to start to prepare our planning for recovery. Now, I'd like to go around the table now. Tuan Haji Zahrin, is there anything you'd like to share before we wrap up this afternoon?
Whatever the points raised by the panelists and Mr. Chairman, I think it's best for you all to follow, So it'll be good for the industry later on in future. So now because of the new order, so that means we have to live whatever coming in future for us. So we have to live with it. So with technology, I think this is the way to go forward in future. So that we are not left behind compared to other countries. So this is the time to do it now.
Thank you, Tuan Haji. Survey Nageswaran.
Okay, to my fellow property managers, let's not be too much worried about the pandemic that we are going through and whatever challenges that we are facing. Okay, like I said, while we practice all the safety measures, we should also, make sure making in our, our business to run as usual. Okay, technologies are there. Hopefully, or perhaps in future, we might come up with some other similar sharing on what we have. I think there are some questions on it. Probably we can look into, we will look into that, and hope we can share with you more things with our objective to make sure that we, one family as property managers, we take care of our business and we take care the rest as well. All right. So keep in touch with us, and I hope to see you sometime soon.
Thank you, Surveyor Nageswaran. Mr. Siu, Surveyor Siu, can you share some things before we wrap?
Yeah, I think here, like I said, all properties managers, or we especially MIPFM, we will have to look into where are the areas where we can improve to give a better service, especially with the new norm. All right. So I think we in MIPFM, actually allow me to say that, we will look into maybe the technologies available and keep all the property managers in the market, the industry, updated as we move along. This is what I hope we in MIPFM can share all this to the general property management profession in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Surveyor Siu. Last but not least, Tuan Haji Ishak, can you share with us some of your points before we go off the air?
Well, personally, I'm looking forward for the reopening of our economy soon after the pandemic over. So we pray hard that our country will be blessed and we can quickly out from the pandemic soon. And I hope that moving forward as a property manager, so we need to not only perform our duty in a different way, new normal, but we need to manage the quality in service business. So I think people are more technology savvy, so they are getting closer in terms of communication, interaction. So we need to to keep our business relevant in the new context. So managing for quality in service business is paramount.
Thank you, Tuan Haji. Thank you very much for your few words. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our session today. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all the panelists today for being able to make the time amidst their busy schedule. I'm sure everybody is also working from home at this point in time. And also to the Secretariat who have made this session very successful. And of course, the organizer for today, Surveyor Faisal Fuad, has worked hard together with Puan Alin and Puan Adila to put together all this arrangement for today. So thank you ever so much to all the listeners out there. We hope to be able to do another round of forum, perhaps before the end of the MCO. But in the meantime, do practice the social distancing. Please stay safe, stay at home, and basically practice good hygienic habits. Make sure that you wash your hands with soap or with the alcohol-based, high 70% alcohol-based sanitizers. And at the same time also, please look after your health. And with that, I'd like to say thank you again to everyone. And wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hope to see you again very soon. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.